It's time for News Night here on Joy997 FM. In the next 60 minutes, Ghana Medical Association says EC chairperson and other commissioners should be ultimately held responsible and accountable by the state for disregard for and non-compliance of safety protocols at any registration center.
That's why we are organizing ourselves together. So after that, we let the social distance should be.
We'll hear from experts while the Electoral Commission considers turning away eligible voters who refuse to adhere to the safety protocols.
If you're saying that wash your hand and say you know wash, wear mask, you know wash, what you can do is to maybe start you from the place. So the people should also appreciate that we are trying to protect each other.
We have live updates from the ground and minority caucus in the Volta region to resort to Plan B as government ignores their call to withdraw military officials deployed to the region following expiration of their one-day ultimatum.
We heard from the minister today in response to our press conference an ultimatum given to government to withdraw the military personnel from our border town. He said that we have Plan B and that Plan B will follow through.
We have details plus checks on the various borders in the country.
And in business, major oil firms freeze exploration programs in the country because of the coronavirus.
And later, as the Auditor General prepares to embark on his fourth leave, Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee says this is a calculated attempt to remove Daniel Domelevo from office prematurely.
The very chairman of the board, citing him as an example, one is tempted to say, is he a payback time?
We have that and more in this edition of News Night. Please join me with your thoughts and comments via WhatsApp. It's 0244340437. I am Emefa Apawu. And tonight we'll be looking at the EC's voter registration exercise. It's just day one, and it's been fraught with some challenges where the EC tells us that it's not a challenge that they are unable to surmount. We'll be hearing from the Electoral Commission as day one comes to a close. We'll be looking forward into day two and things that have come up. Of course, one teething issue that came up is the non-adherence to safety protocols. Most people who trooped to these centers were without face masks and were not adhering to social distancing protocols. We've heard from the various political parties, at least from the NDC and the NPP, on the observation so far. So have we heard from Cordero on Top Story just a while ago. But the Ghana Medical Association have written a letter. They wrote a letter to the Electoral Commission chairperson. This is dated June 26, 2020, and it's a 7-point document that Joy News has cited, and it's titled Voter Registration Exercise and COVID-19. So the Ghana Medical Association says they followed with keen interest the events surrounding the intended voter registration by the Electoral Commission and the subsequent seal of approval per the Supreme Court ruling on the matter, paving the way for the exercise to start on Thursday, June 30, 2020. So the GMA outlines a number of issues that they want the Electoral Commission to follow. First, it says that the COVID-19 is real and the country is currently experiencing significant community spread, and that the Electoral Commission has an obligation to ensure that all appropriate COVID-19 preventive etiquette such as social distancing, wearing of masks, use of alcohol-based sanitizers, as well as the washing of hands with soap and running water are observed at all times during the exercise. Point 7, however, says the EC chairperson and other members of the Commission should be ultimately held responsible and accountable by the state for any wanton disregard for or non-enforcement of COVID-19 preventive measures at any voter registration center that has the potential to spread the disease. Roland Walker has been speaking to the GMA General Secretary, Dr. Justice Yankson.
We have monitored today's activities, and in a large section of the places we have visited, even just about 15 minutes back, or let's say about 30 minutes back, some of the places we were still jammed with people who were not respecting any of the safety protocols. Of course, you may find a few people in mask, but the large majority had thrown that mask bit into the gutters. They were not respecting any of the social distancing activities or as required by all of us to do. And we did not see the EC actually in charge. trying to ensure that the right safety activities are practiced. We think that it is their responsibility because they are the ones actually undertaking this particular exercise. They, like we said in our statement, they should be able to collaborate with the law enforcement agencies, especially the Ghana Police Service, to ensure that the enforcement actually takes place at the various voter registration centers. Once that hasn't happened or is not happening, then they should be held responsible by the state. And whatever the laws of Ghana permit that it should be done, we need to trigger those laws to compel them to ensure that the right things are done. And if they fail to do it, the necessary punishment, we believe, ought to come their way.
What you're saying is that you as medical people, the heads of the Ghana Medical Association have gone around and you are worried about the state of adherence. Is that the case?
All we are saying in this particular letter that we issued to or we sent to the Electoral Commission, for which you have had a copy, it was done on Friday last week, at which point this voter registration had not started. But we anticipated that some of these things were going to happen, for which reason we warned them ahead of time. And we believe that from that point till now, they should have taken a cue from what we were saying and probably what others have said to ensure that as of today and the days to come, the right things were being done at the various voter registration centers. And unfortunately, the little checks we've done today actually has confirmed our fears.
That's the General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Justice Yankson, speaking to my colleague Roland Walker a while ago on Top Story. Well, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaji, has also been speaking about this today at the Ministry's press conference. He also says that he's reiterated calls for prospective voters to wear face masks, insisting that the exercise can lead to the spread of the virus if care is not taken well. Our reporters were deployed on the ground today. We'll start from Odododio constituency, where my colleague Maxwell Agbagba has been most part of the day. He has been interacting with some residents.
The program is not started, that's why I'm just hung up. Social distance that we are talking about. As at now, the program not started. That's why just we are organizing ourselves together. So after that, we let the social distance should be.
Manke 5 o'clock. Ni watala mi ni wampi. Nyekwa bonye wataka na ka jenye wo helalo. Awo helaka don't afio.
She has issues. The situation here. She is saying that the officials here are the people contributed and would definitely be the ones to contribute to this spike in the coronavirus cases. And that's the concern she's raising, that the registration has not started and they've been seated here for so long and they've been compelled to sit together here. And she thinks that they are too close. And she feels that it's risky and can, result in infections and subsequent, death.
I think we have tasked somebody who is making an announcement to them now that everybody should be in face mask. We also talk to the UC, or we arrange for security people to make sure that they practice social distance, because we can't allow them to queue like this. You don't know who is having the virus. So that one, we are going to make sure we talk to them so that they do the right thing for us. Okay. Because their life is also very important to us. Seth Raymond Tete, I'm the MPP constituency chairman.
For me, I'm having one, because I'm going to talk to you, that is why I bring it down. Because if it is my mouth, I can't talk properly. You see, some people have it. If you ask them, most of them are having it inside their pocket and their bag. If you ask them, they will show it to you.
And that's some residents interacting with my colleague Maxwell Agbagba. And of course, the exercises and pictures, and you can find them on our social media platforms and also myjoyonline.com. And this is your election headquarters. Let's touch base with some of our reporters who are deployed on the ground for day one of the exercise. We start from the Western region. My colleague Ina Salia Kwanza joins us on the line. Ina, has the exercise where you've been to come to an end as we speak?
Yeah, some even came to an end at 5:30 because some centers did not have electricity or lights over there, so the arrows would have to end at the scene before the time designated for them to end, so that they could. So those who came after 5:30 were given numbers, and they are those we are going to start with tomorrow at 7 a.m. So far in the Western region, it has been smooth. A little over 70 people were registered at most of the places that I have visited today.
And earlier you reported about issues of non-adherence to social distancing protocols. Did that improve?
No, Emefa, it was the same, but we are hoping that tomorrow it would, or it may get worse. So tomorrow when we get to the ground, we would also bring updates on what has happened on that.
So that's my colleague Natalia Kwanza. We head off to the Upper West region where my colleague Rafiq Salam joins us on the line. Rafiq, what did you find from your monitoring today?
The exercise largely in the Upper West region is peacefully and orderly. I have been to some centers in the one municipality and also in the Sisal East municipality. And so it was generally peaceful. By 12 midday, they were able to register over 60 people in most of the centers that I have visited. One has to do with the Mairi, Ahmadiyya Mosque, and also the Anglican police station in Wa, and also the one at Tumu is the Ahmadiyya Central Mosque. And so the atmosphere here was peaceful, but like we are talking about social distancing and also the use of the face mask in some cases were not adhered to. Because I spoke to some of the people, they told me that they were told that the Electoral Commission will bring a face mask to them, and that they were definitely coming there to take the nose mask from the Electoral Commission. But General, let me also tell you, there's a little bit of a misunderstanding here, because the NI exercise is going on here, and also the voter registration exercise is also going. So people are confused as to what they are doing in the Upper West region here.
Well, so in your interaction with residents and going forward into day 2, are there any issues that they are hoping will be resolved before we get into the second day of the exercise?
I spoke to the regional director of the Electoral Commission, Ali Osman Adamu, and he says that yes, there were some challenges which were minor, and who has to deal with the personnel involved. But he said that going forward, they hope to improve in terms of the use of the thermometer gun, because when we came there a couple of hours, most of the registration centers, they were not using the thermometer gun, but afterwards they were using it. So he's saying that they are going to insist, because that particular role has been given to nurses, and so they will insist that they use the thermometer gun starting from tomorrow.
Okay, that's our Upper West regional correspondent Rafiq Salam. Off to the Volta region now, where Ivy Setoji joins us on the line. Ivy, you've been to the K2 South and K2 North constituencies. Tell us about your updates or your report on what you found today.
Well, when I got to K2 North constituency, I realized that they were observing the social distancing mode of what we witnessed in K2 South. But the issue of wearing of face masks remains a problem in K2 North as well as at Gotime, K2 South as well, Keta, and other districts.
That's my colleague Ivy Setoji there from the Volta region. We head to the Ashanti region because the Electoral Commission there says it is happy about the turnout for the opening day of voter registration in the Edrisso constituency. Municipal Electoral Officer Edward Jamfi observed that applicants have also comported themselves. We'll hear from Mr. Jamfi shortly. But my colleague Nana Asenso Mensa joins us on the phone. He's been monitoring the situation in Aswase, and there have been issues today. We've reported that since 6 a.m. Asenso, has the situation improved? We know that there were concerns by the MP for Aswase Mutaka, raising concerns about why the NPP is involved in certain issues or part of the exercise. Tell us a bit more about it.
Yes, Emefa, earlier, before the registration exercise yesterday, the MP for Aswase met the press and then vent his frustrations that he has indications that the MPP is making plans to skim the whole registration exercise to, bar people from non-residents from other constituencies to register and then vote subsequently within that one constituency. But I must say that throughout the whole exercise today, it has been peaceful, and we didn't experience any incidents of chaos or anything. But there were pockets of incidents that happened actually within the Ashanti constituency, specifically at Asabi, where a newly created polling station, which is now a registration center, which was in a bone of contention, which the MP, Musa Kambarak, also was saying that it is cited in front of the Ashanti constituency chairman, NPP chairman. So he wants that particular polling station to be removed or relocated. And truth to be told, the exercise actually went on, and then the polling station as it stands is maintained. So largely, I must say the Ashanti constituency was peaceful.
Well, as so we can hear from the MP for Aswasi Mutaka Mubarak.
Look, if you look at our constituency, until just this exercise started, they have created about 8 more polling stations that we were not aware of. Until the day for yesterday, when we went to a meeting, and then they told us. And interestingly, they placed all these ones at the boundaries. So, for example, if you go to Sawaba, around the affordable housing, that is the boundary between us and Oforukrum. You go and place one there. If you go to Bola Bola, they go and place one around Mamazoro. That's also a boundary line between us and the Forukrum. And just like that, across the constituency.
The Ashanti MP warns the voter registration exercise will be vigilantly guarded to ensure only residents of Ashanti are enrolled.
Clearly, you see that they are doing this to enhance cross-boundary activity. For us, we have a simple message. This is our territory. We will do everything to protect it. We will protect it with our life. So if anybody thinks that he can cross over and come into Ashanti and register, he should be ready. We are ready for him or her. We will put our lives online to ensure that if you are not from Ashanti, you will have no opportunity to register in Ashanti. And we are sending the warning to all those who think they can just be bashed. We are hearing all the rumor. People they are writing names. Those who want to be sent to Ashanti to register. Well, our message is simple. If you are coming to Ashanti, then you have to bid your family farewell. Because when you come here, anything that happens to you, it is at your own invitation.
That's the MP for Ashanti in that report that you filed earlier, Nanasen. So, well, you've been interacting with the MC for the area. What has he been telling you?
The MC for the area, Ali Sedu, with my interaction with him, told me that he is going to hold the incumbent MP, that is Mr. Kamubarak, responsible if any untoward incident happens, because he is actually causing tension and then stirring so many things within the constituency. So he is saying that he is not going to pass any non-resident into Ashanti, but he's speaking in the capacity as the municipal chief executive and as a municipal security director. So he is going to hold the MP responsible if anything onto what happened. That's what he told me. When
I have challenged him. I am a Muslim. He is also a Muslim. I have challenged him to hold the Quran and tell me or look at us and tell us in the face that in 2012, didn't they go to a neighboring constituency to bring their people to come and register in Ashanti? Look, they go to Kwabiri East, they go to Sibi constituency, Menshia North, Menshia South. They go to Ejesu and Oforukrum, telling their people that when they even register there, it is for nothing. They will not do anything there. They will not even get closer to winning. And for that matter, they should abandon those places and come to Ashanti to register.
Does that mean you are going to also do them?
We are not doing that. Look, EC work or your union or relationship with EC does not guarantee you victory. What we are saying is that you guarantee victory as a result of your hard work. We know we have done what we are supposed to do, and for that matter, that will give us victory. It's not about bashing people. Bash who from where? But you see, as I stand here, I'm not standing here and speaking as a parliamentary candidate, neither am I speaking as an MPP person. I'm speaking in my capacity as the municipal chief executive, and for that matter, municipal security council chairperson. You don't pull nerves, you don't say things, warmongering, expressing your own anger with such a sabotage, saying that whoever is coming from a south to come and register to bid farewell to his family before you just here. It means that we will hold you responsible in case of any hurt. If anybody gets hurt, we shall hold him responsible. Because at the end of the day, we want to have free, fair, and trouble-free registration and election.
That's the MC, Alidu Seidu there interacting with us. This is your election headquarters. Now, I've been joined on the phone by the Director of Electoral Services of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Sribo Kweku. We are grateful for your time here on Newsnight, sir. So, day one largely over, we are told by our reporters. Your own assessment of the exercise for today.
Come again.
I'm asking about your assessment of day one of the exercise, Dr. Sribo.
Good evening to your listeners. I would say that for the refusal of some people to observe the social distancing around the centers, everything has been very successful.
Well, so earlier when we spoke, there were concerns about some challenges. So would you say that largely all those have been resolved?
As I said, they were teaching programs and they are common with any major activity. So the figures are speaking for themselves.
And at the end of the first day, do you have an idea how many persons largely have we been able to capture?
I can't give you the national figures, but some of the figures that I have received, and even these figures came before that was around 4 o'clock. And for example, in Ahafo region, Islamic Primary School also had rated 150. Post Office name had rated 105. Forest Commission 103. ICGHS 100. If you go to the northern region, Traditional Council 125, that's Yendi Municipal. Old District Council 127. Electoral Commission 2 127. Ghana Revenue Service 126. Ghana Revenue Service 2 117. If you go to Muni East, Health Service 1 in Kwanzaa North, they are rated 155. And they are saying that when they got there, then they were able to cover everybody in the queue, so there were nobody in the queue.
Okay.
When we go to Ahafo again, Methodist GS at Chirensia 104, Post Office at Chirensia 119, Day Nursery 112, Community Center at Chirensia 100.
Okay, so it goes on, but largely as Director of Electoral Services, you are happy or really content about the figures that you're getting in terms of the turnout today?
The figures are beyond my expectations. Like I said, that I knew initially you have teaching programs and then they come and you address them. And once the kids are new and some of the people who have not used them before, they may not have conversation with it. It's like being given a new phone. Once you give you a new phone, it takes time for you to adjust to the usage. So you can see that the figures will picking up as we move along. So the second will be higher, the third year will be higher. That's how it goes.
Okay, so the main concern is actually the adherence to safety protocols and the wearing of nose masks. So we cited a letter, for instance, that was written by the Ghana Medical Association to your outfit, raising a similar concerns, and to the extent even saying that the EC chairperson and other members of the commission should be ultimately held responsible and accountable by the state for any wanton disregard for or non-enforcement of COVID-19 preventive measures. What would you say about today's adherence largely?
As part of my preamble, I stated that, but for some of people refusing to observe the protocols, everything has been a successful thing. But I wouldn't want us to be apportioning blame. It should be a collective responsibility. All of us should help educate people to do what is right. Because if the people are not observing them, that's not that they're putting people. Wherever they go, they will not be observing them. So we need to educate them to know the implications of not observing the protocols. Not if you don't necessarily the things and wherever they go. So people will be aware that the sickness is there. They should take their own health into their hands. We are trying to force people to observe them, but the people themselves should know that these are the implications of their actions.
But to the extent that this exercise is on your lap, so to speak, you are responsible for everything that happens. But from what we have seen, at least at the various polling stations, that is not happening. No social distancing, people are not wearing masks. Is there any measure that you are putting in place as part of the entire exercise to ensure that that happens?
I think, once again, I said it is a responsibility of all of us. Let it all
of course, it's a responsibility of all of us, but is there a system in place, at least security officials or officials of the EC at the various centers will ensure that I wear a face mask before I am registered?
No, but I don't think anybody was registered when the person was not wearing a mask. Most cases, people will come around when they have not even entered our demarcated or cordon of areas.
We've seen people in the queues at the demarcated areas who are not in face masks and not adhering to the social distancing protocols.
I've not seen that, and I'm not disputing that. But in that case, we need to inform our officers to pay attention to them.
So going into day two, you can assure that is going to happen.
Yes. And whatever you're saying, our officers are listening to, because we have to sanction any officer who goes ahead to register somebody who is not observing the protocol. So if people come to appreciate that if you don't observe the protocol, you will not be registered. They will be compelled to observe them.
Very well. We're grateful for your time. That's Dr. Sribo Okwek, who is the Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission. Well, the Ghana Bar Association is urging political actors to be responsible citizens ahead of election 2020. The association made this call at an event to mark 38 years since the gruesome murder of 3 judges. President of the association, Anthony Forson Jr., says the only way Ghana can remain peaceful before, during and after the 2020 elections is for citizens to be tolerant. Joseph Akablay reports.
Of Ghana is doing this on behalf of the judiciary.
Their monuments stand meters away from Ghana's apex courts. Justices Pokusa Akodie, Quentin Ado, and Kojoe J. Ejapon. The Bar Association marked the day with a wreath-laying ceremony at the 4 courts of the Supreme Court. Chief Justice Kwesi Enyiniyabua was joined by the Attorney General, Gloria Kufu, and family of the late judges to mark the day.
The first Justice Akodie, on behalf of all the bereaved families.
The second part of the event was a church service at the Red Church with President Akufo-Addo in attendance.
As we go out there in our campaign, let us avoid the politics of insult and deceit. Let us avoid the politics of personal attacks. Let us avoid all these things. That is when we will be calling for justice and righteousness to roll like a living stream.
As Stephen was being stoned to death, he called out, "Lord Jesus, please welcome me." He knelt down and shouted, "Lord, don't blame them for what they have done." Then he died. This is the word of the Lord.
President of the GBA seized the occasion to urge legal practitioners not to abandon the principles of truth and integrity.
As we celebrated our departed colleagues, it is imperative that we devote ourselves to the promotion and sustenance of peace and tolerance in our dear country. Let us perform our duties without fear or favor, affection or ill will, and pledge to uphold the tenets of the 1992 Constitution, especially tolerance towards divergent views and a rededication towards making our nation great and strong in oneness.
He also called for tolerance ahead of election 2020.
It is imperative to address the very avoidable tensions in the country as we approach the 2020 elections. We call upon all actors, especially in the political space, to conduct their activities with a view to ensuring smooth and peaceful elections. All actors must constantly remind themselves of their duty to be responsible citizens. Indeed, at this time when we find ourselves in the thick of a pandemic with really no vaccine in sight, more than ever we should be each other's keeper and ensure that the vulnerable in the society are helped and covered. Public servants ought to remember that they are supposed to serve the public, whose taxes are used to remunerate them. Their actions must engender utmost confidence in the citizenry, who reciprocally must act with responsibility and respect.
That's Joseph Akablay's report there. It's time now for business. When we return, the minority caucus in the Volta region to resort to Plan B as government ignores their call to withdraw military officials deployed to the region following the expiration of their one-day ultimatum. We have that and more after business. George.
Interesting. I saw the pictures today and it was worrying because our case count is also not reducing as well. And you look at the latest European Union list of countries that could allow their citizens to it's not part. And you could see that they are still worried about our situation here in Ghana, and that is when we are hoping that we don't see a spike maybe a week after.
But we all have to adhere to the safety protocols laid down. And it's about time we start turning people away from the registration centers if they are not wearing their face masks. It's the law mandates.
In one breath, you get the understanding that people still don't believe that COVID-19 exists. So they don't want to behave anyhow.
They can't. They can't allow that.
Well, Emefa, COVID-19 is impacting on the oil sector. We hear that some major oil firms are freezing exploration programs in the country because of this pandemic. I'll be getting you more details on that one. And Trade Minister Alan Chamantin presents a vehicle assembler certificate to VW to aid the assembling of its models here in the country. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you? Remember, it has been 25 years of acting as a critical partner for indigenous businesses in the country.
Voters registration 2020. Get ready. Coming on this year, 2020. Register. Eligible Ghanaians, you must take part. Register. If you're a foreigner, you have no right. Obey the law. Under 18 child, you have no right. Oh, fellow Ghanaians, attention please. Electoral Commission has given us guidelines. Hello. The voters' registration begins from 30th June until 6 August, every day 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Furthermore, this is a short time. We are not to panic about COVID-19 pandemic. Electoral Commission has adopted all the protective measures the government has laid down to protect every Ghanaian. You must wear your face mask. There will be temperature checks, washing of hands, sanitizing, social distance observation. So don't be afraid. Go and write your name, fellow Ghanaians. Bring your passport or Ghana card. And if you don't have them, get to qualified Ghanaians to guarantee for you. While it's the sitting, after writing your name, you have the right to start your receipt for 10 people. So important. Voters registration is so important to write your name. Electoral Commission is assuring us 2020 registration will be very decent. Because nobody can vote more than one. No one can vote by impersonation. That is decency. Registration 2020. Get ready. Coming on this year, 2020. Register. Eligible Ghanaians, you must take part. Register. If you're a foreigner, you have no right. Obey the law. Under 18 child, you have no right. Oh, you are fellow Ghanaians. Attention, please. Electoral Commission has given us guidelines. Hello.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, don't worry, Grandpa. There are still 5 ripe and 15 unripe mangoes on the tree.
That's my boy.
Grandpa, it's still 1.2 kilograms of rice in the container.
My boy. And how much credit did I spend last week?
Well, you spent 5 cedis on calls, 2 megabytes on data, and you send 5 SMSs.
We are the first network that tells you exactly what you have spent and when you spent it. Dial *545# to access your statement on MTN. We day for you everywhere you go.
We give you nothing but the best. We stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Boost Sensationary. Everybody's going to the one and only shop. Where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Boost Sensationary.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
It is time, yes. It's time again for each and every Ghanaian above 18 years to register to be able to vote. Let's all come out in our numbers in accordance with the protocols established in this COVID-19 era by the Electoral Commission to register and continue to vote for leaders who will positively reshape our country's destiny. Remember, it's 4 more for Nana. It begins with your registration today. You cannot vote unless you are eligible, and the only way is to get registered.
Joy 99.7 FM.
You welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, major oil exploration firms have frozen fresh exploration programs in the country because of the coronavirus. Energy Minister John Peter Amewu disclosed this during the African Ministerial Roundtable on the impact of COVID-19 on the energy sector. The minister, however, maintained that some strategies are being implemented to help deal with the expected shocks on the oil sector.
What we have witnessed within the period is that global fund has captured, as most of those exploration companies have redirected their targets out of Ghana. A typical company we are aware is a company coming from Norway, Aker Energy. It has a very aggressive exploration program. It is expected to spend quite in the range of about $7 billion to develop one of the new oil fields. That development has not seen the light of the day. We in the country for the first time have opened our first licensing round with a lot of enthusiasm, where a number of blocks have been sent up there to international oil companies to partake. Evaluations of those blocks have been delayed. And so our aggressive accelerated program, which was meant to increase our reserve to production window, so the pandemic has had a lot of effects, in the country.
That's Energy Minister John Peter Amewu. Meanwhile, Group Chief Executive of ENI, Claudio Descalzi, has been talking about the fact that they are still committed to developing fields in Ghana, even though they are reviewing their group investments.
When we talk about access to energy, we are delivering about 50 billion cubic meters to the domestic utilization. We give 100% of our gas production in Egypt, Congo, Algeria, Tunisia, and Ghana. In Ghana, we developed a gas project for power, so sending gas to the Ghana power plant. I think that that also is more and more important. We had a strong volatility of oil and gas in the last 6 years, so it's not easy to invest for the long term. So I think that the diversification, industrial diversification, access to energy.
Claudio Descalzi is the Chief Executive of oil exploration giant ENI, speaking from Italy via a virtual conference put together by the International Energy Agency. Now, Trade Minister Alan Chamantin has presented the Vehicle Assembly Certificate to German car manufacturer VW to aid the assembling of its models here in Ghana. The minister did this when he paid a working visit to the assembling plant here in Accra. Now, this will give the German car manufacturer the required legal backing, supporting the assembling of its cars locally. Now, some of the models that they have actually been working on include the VW Tiguan, Amarok pickup, Passat, Polo, and the Tamarok. Now, the visit also afforded the minister an opportunity to inspect the first certified VW Tiguan assembled here in the country. Now, Joy Business understands that VW was the first automobile giant to sign a memorandum of understanding to develop or assemble its cars in the country. Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority has clamped down on an unlicensed Chinese factory that is Everyday Manufacturing located in the Wutusenya constituency in the central region. The firm was said to be illegally diverting cartons of government textbooks to be recycled as toilet rolls. And so far, the manager and sales manager, as well as a Ghanaian entrepreneur with that firm, have been picked up by the CID. Charles Aite was there for Joy Business and has the rest of the story.
Managers of this Chinese facility initially locked their gates to the task force after getting word of the exercise. Security personnel had to jump over the gates to get access. Upon entering, the task force was met with piles of shredded paper left to rot at the mercy of the weather. These shredded papers are from thousands of government-funded textbooks for senior high schools. Henry Ranford Mentor is the head of the GRA Task Force unit to this facility.
Everyday Tissue Company Limited, that is the company that received these supplies. But you agree with me, if you want raw materials, why wouldn't you go out or import some if you don't have the raw material? But a state-funded textbook is being used by an individual or group of individuals under the guise of doing business. We don't want that kind of business to be done at the expense of the state. Therefore, the law must take its course.
This is also home for the Chinese operators. They are part of a syndicate which diverts containers of textbooks to this facility to be recycled for the production of toilet rolls. Officials of the task force, together with the CID officials, conducted a search of their rooms. This was to take stock of the business records. Just at the outskirts of the Everyday Manufacturing Limited, we found heaps of locked trunks of forest trees. Joy Business gathers these trunks are provided by some residents at a cost, a violation of Ghana's logging regulations.
We noticed that they were using some papers, sheets of papers, in lieu of the Commissioner General's invoice, and that is contrary to the law.
The clampdown of Everyday Manufacturing Limited is part of a series of distress actions being undertaken by the Ghana Revenue Authority against tax defaulters and evaders. I'm Charles Aite for Joy Business.
Well, to other stories, more than $75 million worth of bids were submitted in today's Forex auction that is still at the Bank of Ghana. Now, this was despite the fact that the Bank of Ghana was willing to sell just $25 million for these banks that participated. From the results, it was clear that these investors submitted bids worth $75 million, but the Bank of Ghana was actually willing to sell $25 million worth of Forex to these investors. The auction result also showed that $6 million worth of bids were rejected by the Bank of Ghana. And the Bank of Ghana actually has used this auction sale as a strategy to help deal with supply of dollars on the market. To the stock market, Emefa, if you were an investor in Cowbank today, you lost about 3 pesos for each share held. Now it is worth 73 pesos. FAMUK was also down by 20 pesos and is now going for 1 Ghana cedis 80 pesos. Gold is down by actually 4 pesos and is now worth 1 Ghana cedi 53 pesos. MTN was up by 3 pesos and is now worth 59 pesos. And that's all for business on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, George. Enjoy the rest of your evening, okay? Now, let's do some of your messages that you've sent in. It's 0244340437. Loads and loads of your messages. Kenneth, Nak, Numana, and UG Legon says it's no surprise to see the non-adherence to the observance of the social distancing protocols as Joy FM had projected during a Ghana Connect session. Though there's the need for this registration, security just have to intensify the execution of their duties and more education will do. Thank you, Kenneth, for your message. This one says the EC can easily control the crowd by insisting on the protocols without which you will not be registered. People are just being stubborn and they will blame the government for everything. Wear masks to protect yourself too is an issue. Ghana, he exclaims. And this one says, I think the electoral officers can envisage the number of people who can be registered in a day, so the rest can be turned away to be served the next day to avoid the crowds at the centers. This one, Mabeti Alang Awoshi, Elang in Awoshi, she says that I beg you kindly let the Electoral Commission discuss this issue for those at Awoshi Elang. We always vote at by His Grace Preparatory School, and some also vote at Mount Pleasant School. But unfortunately, this time no registration center has been placed there except Odogono SHS and Santa Maria, and also Drugstore, which is far from us. And so we should know, Mabeti, that the EC is doing the exercise in clusters. So I'm sure it will move to your polling station soon. But this one also says there weren't anything like sanitizers, EC providing masks for those who don't have them. The thermometers were pointed on us about 5 hours later upon joining the queue, and the EC officials weren't sanitizing the machines, tables, and so on. And he adds a polling station center in Tafo where we can verify. Richard, thank you, would verify that. And this one also says at the St. Teresa School in North Kanishi, the police are aiding people who are not in the queue to register, and when the people in the queue complain, the police will come and remove you from the queue and send you out. Really? Okay, we'll check that out at the St. Teresa's polling station here in North Kanishi. Musa in Abattoir says, as much as I agree with the GMA, they should have put their communique in a better perspective. The EC and President Akufo-Addo must be held responsible if COVID-19 positive cases escalate, because they considered their selfish interest and the lives of innocent Ghanaians. So that's Musa Abattoir. So that letter that we put out from the GMA is not a communique, it's a letter that was written to the Electoral Commission, and we cited a copy and brought the details to you. Walanyo in Akwetia says Ghanaians should not be impatient relating to the voter ID registration. We have more days ahead to get registered, and let's remember to respect protocols and adhere to safety precautions. Shiftman Atonsu says, I beg Ghanaians to take this voter registration serious and get registered peacefully. Well, we have more and more of your messages. This one from Kofi Seidu says the voters registration exercise has been very poor in Konongo in the Ashanti Achim Central because social distancing protocols were thrown to the dogs. More and more of your messages all raising concerns about the centers that you've been to. But let's go on to some other stories at this point, because the minority caucus in the voter region says it will resort to Plan B as government ignores their call to withdraw military officials deployed to the region following the expiration of their one-day ultimatum. So government had deployed military and other security personnel to border towns in the voter and OT regions, an issue that attracted condemnation from many, including former President Rawlings. Now, here is the chairman of the voter regional caucus, Emmanuel Bedra, addressing a press conference in Aplau on Monday.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fire has been lit, and we the votarians are ready. We are not cowards. I want to repeat that. We are not cowards. We don't fear people. We only respect. And therefore, whoever has deployed the military personnel to our borders should call them back immediately. We are giving them up to the end of tomorrow, Tuesday. The military personnel must be recalled back to their barracks. There is no war between Ghanaians and Togolese. We are peace-loving people, and therefore we will continue to love everybody equal.
But in a sharp response, government dispelled claims by the NDC that security deployment along the country's borders was to intimidate and prevent persons living in the voter region from partaking in the voter registration exercise. Here's Defense Minister Dominic Nitto.
We ask the operatives, who are the soldiers, and the police, and the GIS, Ghana Immigration Service, and of course GRA, to deploy troops to aid Ghana Immigration Service, who are the lead agency, to close up all the unapproved routes so that people don't come into this country and give us problems. Our borders are closed, and that must be respected. I will go town by town, region by region, and give you the exact numbers. So I want to let the chiefs and people of the voter region know that the information the NDC minority, former President John Mahama is feeding them is pure propaganda.
That's the Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwo in a response to the NDC Voter Caucus's press conference on Monday. We've been joined on the phone by the chairman of the Voter Regional Caucus, Emmanuel Bedra. We're grateful for your time here on Newsnight. So you gave a 24-hour ultimatum for the withdrawal of the troop that you say have been deployed in the voter region. The 24-hour ultimatum, I would say, has ended. What happens? Your checks were told by government that was not going to happen. So what is the wrath that you say you were going to unleash if that was not done?
Thank you very much, Emefa, and thank you. Good evening to our cherished listeners on Joy FM. Once again, let me say that we still stand by our ultimatum, which elapsed today. The minister came out clearly to indicate that government will not withdraw troops that they've sent to the various border towns. Let me also say that we are happy that government has admitted that they've sent troops to fight COVID-19 to prevent people coming into the country on our border post. That is what we want people to know. That it is true that government has deployed people to the border post. He mentioned few other towns that deploy people and regions, and one of them has to do with where you send your reporters to Elugu to find out whether they have deployed military personnel there. I'm told that your reporters went and came back to report that there was nothing like that in Elugu. That is western north part of the country. Coming back to our ultimatum, when one of your colleagues asked a question, what we will be doing if government did not accept our ultimatum, I was emphatic that we have our plan B, and we still stand by our plan B.
What's the plan B?
Emefa, coming from this part of the world, especially this part of the country, you know very well that when Igbe says plan B, he knows what he means.
I'm an Igbe woman, so I don't know what you're talking about. So please educate us.
So our plan B is our plan B. Every military strategist will tell you that my plan B is my plan B, and plan B remains my plan B.
And you can assure that that plan B that you talk about will be peaceful. You are not going to, unleash any violence of a sort. Is that what?
No, at all. When you listen to my statement, I quoted Togbi Fiti, the overlord or the paramount chief of Aflao traditional area, Togbi Amenya Fiti, the fifth. And if you permit me, I'll quote him again because I quoted him yesterday during my speech. I said that Togbi Fiti, during his interaction with the media personnel as well as the radio program, he said, please note that because we are peace-loving does not make us cowards. When the fire is lit, there will be no turning back. And the set fire will consume everything in its path. That was Togbi Fiti yesterday. So as for the plan B, we are peace-loving. We are not cowards. We don't fear people. Our peace-loving nature will continue to make us peace-loving. Our plan B will not bring any disruptions. It will not bring anything to anybody. We'll continue to love everybody. We'll continue even to endure. Irrespective of what is happening, we'll continue to love people. We'll continue to maintain the peace that we all cherish in this country.
Well, we're grateful. We're grateful for your time. That's Emmanuel Bedra. Thank you very much for joining us. He's the chairman of the Minority Voter Caucus there, speaking to us. You know, earlier they had mentioned that they're giving government a 24-hour ultimatum to withdraw the troops that have been placed at the borders in the voter region. They've raised concerns about, and we've heard the president also speak about it yesterday during his address, that they are there to protect our borders. And we've heard the chairman say that they will activate Plan B. But just before we go, it's time for sports, and Benedict Owusu joins us on the line. Benedict, what's in sports?
Yes, sir. For the breaking news coming through just a minute ago is that the Ghana Football Association Executive Council has cancelled the 2019-20 Ghana Premier League season
And of course, we all know the obvious reasons because of coronavirus. So that's the latest. We'll definitely will get more later. And CAF, as you also know, they've postponed the AFCON 2021 to January 2022. So that's what's going to happen. A lot of other decisions were taken. We will update listeners tomorrow when you join us on the Joy Sports Center. Plus, what to expect tonight, Barca, Atletico Madrid, and also Leroy Sani joining Bayern from Manchester City.
Well, I didn't intend on ending the news on a rather sad note. Just when the Premier League was speaking, and we're hoping that once the registration was underway, we'll get to watch our football again, but that's not going to happen. There's more subsequently. But in the meantime, it's time for the Geek Squad and Kobe Spiking Kuma. Kobe, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about the current state of social media. Okay. You know what's happening. TikTok has been banned. In India, they've been pulled from the App Store and the Play Store, and Facebook is having their big ad players say that they are boycotting their ad platform. They're not advertising on Facebook. So, and it's affecting Instagram and Twitter. So it looks like social media is suffering.
I've been waiting to ask you this question. Why has my account been restricted on Twitter? What did I do?
Please, who are you following?
Educate me.
Who are you following?
I'm following people.
Who are you following? Do you have 0 followers?
Oh, how come? Okay. So that's my question for the Geek Squad tonight. Do stay if you also have questions about social media, the current state, all the answers coming up on the Geek Squad. I am Emefa Apawu. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com.
Basketball season has returned.